Hello everybody, how are y'all doing today? I want to start this presentation off by a show of hands. Who here has been to the world-renowned Buc-ees? Alright, a good amount of y'all in here. Well, my name is Derek Dutta, and today I will be presenting on Buc-ees, talking about their current business strategies along with some, future recommendations that they can use going forward. So let's get this started. To start out, a little brief overview of Buc-ees. It did originate in Texas. And if you don't know what Buc-ees is, you're living under a rock. Just kidding. It is a chain of mega gas stations / convenience stores / travel centers where, visitors can go, stop by on the road, go, and there's plenty of gas pumps there. I would say over 50, more than you can even count. There's also plenty of bathrooms in there. They're actually world known for how clean they are. So you can go in there, use the bathroom, fill up your gas, along with get some of the Buc-ees food selections, whether it's brisket, barbecue, pastries, jerky, merchandise. It really kind of has it all there. And it was founded in 1982 by Arch Beaver Applin III. And he is actually he's still the CEO there. And for their strategic leaders and the governance, it is a privately held, and it's a very close-knit circle of executives that, really helps them free flow and make the best decisions possible. So that's kind of how it's run, and that's just a little bit of the backstory about this lovely place. All right, as I did an external analysis for the Porter 5 Forces model on Buc-ees, some threats of potential entrance. There's actually quite a low chance of that happening, just due to Buc-ees, the high capital that they invest into the stores and the chain of stores, along with the brand loyalty that it builds up from customers, as they kind of trickle in and leave Buc-ees. And also, the size of Buc-ees, it is just such a big travel center to where it is, hard to come in there and try to take over in the market. Some of the competition that, in terms of the convenience store, it is pretty high. Just to other, gas stations such as Racetrack and QT, where they do kind of have that convenience store along with gas option. And there are also more, QTs and Racetracks out there. So when, films are on the road, there is kind of the chance that they would just go there instead of, making the detour out to stop at Buc-ees. There is also a little bit threat of substitutes as well. Again, like I said, Buc-ees is a road trip, type of place. So let's say instead, families didn't want to go to Buc-ees, they could just, go get fast food, go to a traditional gas station, such as QT and Racetrack. And also, rest stops as well can, satisfy those bathroom needs. The supplier power is actually pretty low, just on the sense of Buc-ee's scale and their vertical integration, meaning that pretty much everything that they do in terms of supply chain is internal, to where it's not going to be mimicked by other, companies or producers out there, and that, kind of reduces the supplier influence on Buc-ees. And the last but not least, the buyer power is, the customers do have a huge selection of products in Buc-ees. So although it is a little bit more expensive, just so many options, to choose from, again, whether it's jerky, baked goods, brisket, beaver chips, there's really just so much to get there. So that does kind of lower the buyer power, as, it keeps their experience unique, and, it keeps them coming back for that taste and that good time. Now, when I did a internal analysis, I did find actually that, Buc-ee's products, such as the food and merchandise that they create there, along with the world-renowned clean restrooms, the store layout, and the brand loyalty, they all have sustained competitive advantage, on the sense that, they are all very valuable, rare, and very hard, to replicate. And they also organize it in such a sense to where it kind of puts the best foot forward, and all of these are shown in the bright spotlight, so you don't really have to worry about, again, another franchise or gas station franchise coming in, taking over and, kind of destroying Buc-ees. So their current competitive strategy that they use is differentiation. So what this pretty much is just overall Buc-ees is just a superior brand in terms of gas stations, to where, you know, it doesn't have the cheapest prices, but that's for a reason. It's because everything that they make is, you know, in-house made. Again, they have a huge amount of gas pumps, more than any other gas station that I have personally ever seen. Again, they also do have, I think there is a world record for how clean their restrooms are, and there's also, like, you know, 30 stalls in each one, along with some lovely pictures on the wall as you walk in, just kind of giving you that unique experience. It is also, I believe, one of the stores in Texas is the world record holder in the size of the convenience store. So that's another thing, you know, that you can't really compete with, is just how big it is. And I guess if you guys have been in there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And despite how big it is still always busy no matter what time of day you go. Kind of just showing, you know, how well Buc-ees does, you know, run their business. It is very versatile in the food selection. Like I said, been talking a lot about the brisket. That's definitely my favorite dish. So that's kind of why I'm so obsessed with it. But it's from brisket along, you know, to baked goods. They're all produced in the highest quality. They actually do chop the brisket in front of you. So they'll do a thing where they'll yell like, "Oh, brisket on the platform," or something like that. They say a lot cooler than that, but they'll chop it in front of you, you know, kind of giving you that niche, that unique experience that, again, you're not going to get at any other place. Again, I had talked about this earlier. They have vertical integration, you know, to where everything from their supply chain is controlled internally, so they don't have to worry about any suppliers, you know, trying to take advantage or trying to make a buck off them. And last but not least is the quality of service. Actually, when Buc-ees opened, one of their first things was they took pride in, you know, the quality of their service. So they have kind of, you know, kept that up as they've gotten bigger. Again, if you guys have been there, you would know what I'm talking about. Is despite it being super busy, they're always boom, boom, boom. There's always a cash register open, always a plenty amount of food available, despite, again, all the people coming in. So those are all the kind of things that, you know, Buc-ees uses to differentiate itself from other competitors. And some of the previous growth strategies that Buc-ees has done is, so it actually, again, originated in Texas, but it was normally only in Texas, and then it ended up expanding into a lot of the other southeastern states, such as Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, and actually, I found this out recently, is Colorado as well. They opened a store right outside of Denver, so they're kind of, you know, going West Coast as well. Again, vertical integration, where they only focus on in-house product development, and is also a private company, so they do not franchise out to anyone else. So it's Buc-ees and strictly Buc-ees. So currently their global strategy is, as I said earlier, it's only in the southern U.S. states along with Colorado. But again, with Buc-ees, their focus being on, you know, the quality, the experience, and the uniqueness. It does hold a lot of potential if it were to, you know, expand internationally, just on the sense that it has the universal values that people, you know, enjoy and like to see in a company, and, you know, in terms of, like I said, their quality, the service, and the uniqueness that it has when you go in there. And I will talk about how we are going to try expand into Canada, Australia, and the UAE. So here are some recommendations. I would say, you know, to continue to expand Buc-ees across the U.S. Again, it's already started in Colorado, so kind of maybe work down across the West Coast, maybe hit the West Coast Pacific Highway, you know, kind of places like that, full of long, stretched road where, you know, people want to stop and, you know, get some type of food. Would want to open trial locations in Canada. I would say the best place in Canada would be probably one of the bigger cities to start. We would, you know, do Australia and the UAE, and I will go deeper into this as we continue. And I think a big part of all these would be to highlight the theme of the American road trip experience in other countries. Just kind of makes it authentic. It makes it you know, when people think of the U.S., they're going to think of Buc-ees. So, you know, it helps with that, the brand positioning as well, and brand recognition for people, you know, to kind of think of Buc-ees when they think of the U.S. I do want to incorporate a Buc-ees seltzer brand, a Buc-ees International National Park Service as well, and maybe a potential Buc-ees water park, you know, depending on how things go. So to start out, Canada would probably be the easiest just in the sense that it is a very similar culture to the U.S., and it is a very, very densely populated in a lot of the bigger cities. So we could maybe, put one outside, maybe Toronto. That's what I was trying to think earlier, was Toronto would probably be the best place to start with one of these. Again, it's easily to adapt with, minimal brand repositioning, just because, again, similar cultures and, similar retail expectations within Canada and between the U.S. A bit of an obstacle would be, the harsh winters in some of the provinces can impact, the travel and the amount of people actually going into Buc-ees. And then also seasonal as well, the product demand may go down in some of those colder seasons. Australia was actually one of the interesting ones I was looking at, just because they do have the outback, and that with the outback, that does lead to a heavy road trip culture, which would be a great place, to put a Buc-ees, as I see the picture right here, maybe put a Buc-ees off one of those roads where people are driving for a while and, they're getting hungry, they got to use the bathroom, they got to fill up on gas. Well, hey, guess what? We got all three in one. And again, some of the cons though would be, again, the population is very spread out, along with, import taxes could make the operations a little bit more expensive, to kind of put the foot in the door, along with maybe slow them down a little bit. So that would just, kind of be something to look for when going in. But that being said, the competition would be low for a mega travel center like Buc-ees to go into Australia and, take over the outback. And the last one is the United Arab Emirates, or UAE. I don't know if I said that completely correct, but again, lovely place. I think it'd be a great place for Buc-ees in the sense that the income that people have in that area it's normally, a little bit on the higher end, which kind of, matches with Buc-ees brand value of the differentiation, where higher prices but higher quality products. I think that would, really match with the UAE. Along with that, there are the long highways in between the cities, along with a very tourist-heavy place. So you're going to get all people from all types of the world, driving by. They're going to see Buc-ees on the side. They're going to see all the signs, and they're going to want to, go check it out, see what it's about. Tourists also love the American culture there. So with Buc-ees kind of focusing on the American road trip culture, I think that would be a great way to implement it in there and, kind of get them fire on all cylinders. And I said earlier, the high spending power, it kind of aligns with the Buc-ees, the higher quality, higher prices. Some cons that would come up is, the branding, food, and operational practices would have to align with the UAE. Their culture is a little bit different out there, so we would have to align it with the norms, along with the halal standards and, the local regulations. So that would be a little bit of a challenge to get into. But I truly believe that we could make this happen, and especially, again, with the higher spending power, I think it'd be a great place to put a Buc-ees. And actually, right here's a picture of some of their highways. You kind of just see just how almost futuristic it looks, and I think that'd be a great place to, to throw a Buc-ees in there and see how it does. This is actually probably my favorite thing about this whole presentation. Was actually a few months ago when the hurricane hit, I was actually stopping at Buc-ees with some of my friends, and I was looking for about 20 minutes for a Buc-ees seltzer. I had thought that there was a Buc-ees seltzer, but I was completely wrong. So that was kind of what gave me the idea that, there should be a Buc-ees seltzer. Because first of all, alcohol sells, people. Alcohol will never go out of style. People will never stop drinking alcohol. If anything, it's only going to keep growing and growing, which is why I think for Buc-ees personally, a seltzer brand would be perfect for them, especially because, it is a road trip / rest stop destination, so most people stopping at Buc-ees are going on road trips. So I think, having a nice little cool seltzer out there with cool names and very colorful would, get people to buy it. Again, most people are probably going to the beach or maybe the mountains, kind of places like that, to where, you're going to be drinking some alcohol, sitting back on a nice little chair, watching the ocean go and just sipping on one of the Buc-ees seltzers. I think that would really fit perfectly with what, Buc-ees kind of aligns it with. So here are actually some of the flavors. I actually had ChatGPT generate me some cool names. So we got peach, pecan pop, prickly pear punch, sweet tea, citrus, watermelon barbecue splash, and then campfire one where it's smoky vanilla and cherry. These are just, again, some brainstorming ideas. Could definitely work on that, but just, again, in all, alcohol sells, and I think Buc-ees would be perfect, to have its own seltzer brand, and I did name it Bubble and Beaver. So if we actually go to this next slide right here, here's a little ad. I actually had ChatGPT generate this as well. This could just be, kind of something that they're posting on social media / maybe actually showing up on the billboards as you kind of drive by. Seeing that, oh, they got their own spiked seltzer, we might have to go and check that out. So that's just a little mock type of, ad that I had ChatGPT come up with. So next is the INPCC, which is the Buc-ees International National Park Cleanup Committee. So basically what this would do would kind of humanize the Buc-ees brand as a whole, to where, when people think of Buc-ees, they're not just thinking of, food or, clean restrooms, or thinking of something a little bit bigger, serving people, serving the environment. So I think that's why a National Park Cleanup Committee would be a great idea for Buc-ees. Again, if it's trying to go international, it would, enhance its global brand recognition. It would partner with local national park services, along with, environmental agencies, and it would, go ahead and clean all the national parks, along with, take volunteers, post on social media, hey, if you guys want to come meet us here, we're doing a Buc-ees, cleanup day today. Maybe give out some of the Buc-ees brisket sandwiches, or, barbecue kind of at those places. Again, just kind of getting the brand recognition out there, especially in other countries where they don't have Buc-ees and they're not, blessed like us with some of the amazing flavors that it has. So yeah, like I said earlier, get volunteers out there, along with, sharing the videos and the impact stories across social media. Again, would be so big to, to get people to relate to Buc-ees on a little bit of a more personal connection, kind of get their emotions involved. Because once you have people's emotions, you're going to get them to open up their pockets, and they're going to want to go check out your brand. And also it does kind of position Buc-ees as an advocate for clean spaces, which is kind of like, it's really, world-renowned clean bathrooms. It kind of goes hand in hand with, they have clean bathrooms, and they're also, cleaning up the world. It just kind of puts it in a great light, in front of the media. And here's actually just two flyers I had ChatGPT come up with, just, kind of talking about the mission of it to, again, you want to preserve the beauty of these national parks. And, Buc-ees definitely does have the resources and outreach, I believe, to do that. So again, these are just a little bit of some mock ads that I had Chat make. And another thing is a Buc-ees water park. This was a little bit up in the air. I just kind of want to throw this in there. Because, it does have the reputation for kind of being a little bit over the top, a little bit overwhelming, in the sense where if you go to a Buc-ees, it's going to be really, really crowded. It's super colorful. You walk inside, it's overstimulating. Like, you're seeing merchandise, food, all this stuff kind of hitting you all at once. So that does kind of, I think a water park would, kind of match its overall brand image. Again, it would attract families, travelers, just in fans in general. I think, in the future, there are places kind of like the Nick Hotel, places like that where there's like mini water parks / resorts together. I could see Buc-ees, kind of eventually becoming something like that, where if people need a place to stay, they go stay there, and they can hit the water park, and also there's like a whole Buc-ees food court kind of going out there, and maybe eventually, have some concerts and venues going out there in the future. Just some brainstorms kind of off the top of my head. But Buc-ees does have the brand for, I believe, for a water park / amusement park. I think that'd be a great idea. Obviously, there are some obstacles. The biggest thing would be the seasonal. Water parks are not going to operate or run, 365 days of the year just because of weather. It also would be a very high startup costs, and would also, cost a good amount to operate. It would also be, fairly risky opening up a water park, depending on if people would like it or not. But again, with these cons, I think the pros just outweigh them so much, and just the potential of what Buc-ees could do, and, to make itself versus more than a gas station / travel brand, but more of like almost like a Disney brand right there. Like, I think Buc-ees can really reach for the stars. But yeah, other than that, I really do appreciate y'all's time. If y'all have any questions, feel free. But other than that, I think Buc-ees has the potential to change the world.